It just got worse and worse. The state would go out of their way almost, it seems, to pilfer money that could have gone to Pennhurst or should have gone to Pennhurst and just dump it back into their general fund. So over the years, it just gets worse and worse, and more young people, and most of its history, it was just young people. It was children that were dropped off at this facility. And there were deaths, and there was negligence, and there was murders. These things are documented as happening. And there was rampant abuse and rampant neglect. I believe the history of Pennhurst is one of what happens when we try to kind of categorize a group of people one way. And we just shouldn't. We should just accept people as people and help them be successful. And that certainly wasn't what was happening during these times. As late as the 1960s, it finally came to a place where society was ripe to speak out against these type of atrocities, and that society was finally willing to advocate. There was an expose in the 1960s called Suffer the Children, which put all of these horrors on display for your average American sitting at home eating their TV dinner. And there was a lot of movement very quickly right after that. A lot of laws were formed. A lot of court decisions were made, all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States with the Haldeman decision, and several other crucial handicap right decisions in the ADA laws. A lot came from that movement, that groundswell of support and advocacy. By the 1980s, the site was closed. And when I say closed, the state did it like they close most things. They just walked out, locked the doors, and that was it. From 1987 until 2008, the site was, for all intents and purposes, it was still owned by the state, but it was for all intents and purposes abandoned. And in that 20 plus years, 30 years almost, the site was basically destroyed by trespassers and vandals. And I mean destroyed. Like, no one who came to Pennhurst really respected it. Graffiti, broken windows, kicked in doors, torn up copper, destroyed murals. I mean, you name it. People were very cruel to the site during its unwatched years. So then in 2008, a group of business people see that the site is gone for sale privately from the state. The state's finally offloading the site, and they purchased it with the idea that they would be able to flip the land and turn it into some sort of development, commercial or public, whatever, Well, then what happened was in 2008, the economy crashed. So their big plan kind of got derailed, and they had to come up with different alternative use. And the initial plan was, well, this is a really scary place. Why don't we have a haunted house here? The original incarnation of Pennhurst Asylum Haunted House, and that's the only Pennhurst Asylum, is the haunted house. There is no historical Pennhurst Asylum. That's not a thing that exists. The haunted house is Pennhurst Asylum. It's a complete work of fiction. But in 2010, that opened, and it was, despite a huge backlash, it was incredibly successful and continued to be incredibly successful right up to 2016, when the property again traded hands and fell into the hands of our current ownership group. That is when a lot of things changed, where the kind of history and the direction Pennhurst was going in started to change. The plan at that time was still to develop the land and just be done with it. But once again, the haunted house, as wild as it is, continued to be a major economic driver. And it was successful. The new owners were very receptive to the message of the history of Pennhurst Matters. And in that, they started adapting the haunted attraction to be more of a fictional thing, and not really play on the history of Pennhurst at all, and not make light of the suffering that happened on site. Kind of change the design, change the theming, and change the actors, how the actors were acting. And there was also a renewed focus on things like the history. We started holding history tours, and then of course the paranormal. Now, the paranormal always existed on Pennhurst since the original owners, but the scale of paranormal changed in 2016. It was, some random ghost adventures, maybe a television show here or there, and smaller Paracons, a couple hundred people. But in 2016, we didn't do a Paracon. 2017 was the first new Paracon, and it rebranded, and it was larger because we were doing more paranormal investigations. We started offering public paranormal investigations where people could just buy a ticket and we'd investigate with them. It was really, really exciting. Somebody commented something that I always expect to see. I feel like the haunted house is so disrespectful, and I can agree with that sentiment. There was a time when the haunted house was extremely disrespectful, but now a large majority of our staff are differently abled. We support our differently able community. We recognize and appreciate and respect the history of the site. And I can say candidly and truthfully that without our haunted attraction, Pennhurst would be a parking lot right now. And all of that history and all of the things that mattered would be gone forever. So I get where people can feel that having a haunted house there is disrespectful, but that's not what we're about. And that's not what we're focused on. We're focused on the history, and we believe in the history, and we want to reinforce the history of our site and tell the story of our site. So we keep going forward, and now we have these awesome events and these Paracons, and we have brought a life back to the site that opens up Pennhurst and exposes Pennhurst to people that may have never had a chance to be involved and learn about what we're doing and who we are and what this place is and why it matters so much. I have a crew of 250 workers that care about the site, that care about every single brick in this site more than I can put into words. And we wouldn't have that if we didn't have these cool events that bring people in and let them kind of appreciate and experience the site. So we've come a long way. It's definitely been a journey.
Yeah, definitely. Because I've seen it from when it popped up on Facebook a long time ago to now. Like, I've read about Pennhurst in my psychology books and different classes, and now being able to just go this year and just experience the energy and really do like the hands-on, like going through the buildings and looking at like the history through the eyes. Like, I'm a psychic medium empath, so when I probably get there, I'll be very emotional because of all the history there. So I'm kind of like going to protect myself and kind of shut myself down so I'm not walking into an emotional wreck. But just going and experiencing Pennhurst during the Paracon's just going to be amazing because I've said before the show, I'm like, I've never been, but I've seen it in my school work. I've seen it on the shows. I've read the history of it, and it's different when you finally get to go and see something like Pennhurst in person. So how many buildings are open to the public?
So if you purchase a ticket to one of our public paranormal investigations, you are able to investigate in the Mayflower building, the Devon building. We're going to be opening up some additional areas, the infirmary. We have a huge section of tunnels that are available. And then depending on the public paranormal that you signed up for, you may also get access to Quaker. And then after Paracon, both the Limerick buildings and the Tinicum building, parts of them will start being available for investigations as well.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's going to be a lot of buildings. How many buildings were on part of the Pennhurst grounds in the beginning?
Originally it was hundreds of buildings over tens of acres. I mean, it was huge complex. It was its own city. Currently, we still have around 20 buildings left on site.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, some of those buildings are still slated for demolition. There's no getting around it. But a large portion of our lower campus is staying, and that wasn't true as little as 2 years ago, or actually, 2021. It was still the plan that the place was going to be, turned into something else. So we've worked hard for years to make the place remain viable, and we'll continue to do so.
Yeah, most definitely. Ken asks, do you guys have on-site Airbnbs? Weird question, he says.
It's not a weird question at all. How great would it be to be able to just spend the night? We do
Hold
have
just
some
a project for you and spend the
we
night.
do have some themed events that might be launching this summer that may allow paranormal investigators to have maybe a little bit of a camp out. But as far as Airbnbs or anything, no, there's nothing on site that we have in place. But there are Airbnbs in the area, plus very affordable hotels.
Shannon says, I may have a different perspective, though. I work for a human services company, and we have residents that were residents at Pennhurst. She appreciates that it brings people in. She would love to investigate, but no haunted attraction. I don't do haunted attractions either.
Oh, I get it. It's not for everybody. I will say, though, that we also work with former Pennhurst residents, and they benefit from a lot of the different charitable givings that we do throughout the year for them. That's something we don't advertise that we do that, but we are very much involved with several former residents as well as our local community. We do a lot of charitable giving. We do fun drives. We do food drives. We do toy drives. Our staff is really, really big on the let's give back mantra, which we love. That makes us really, genuinely happy.
Yeah, definitely. Corey asked, do you guys still allow filming at Pennhurst?
So there's a couple different ways to film at Pennhurst. If you're just going to break out your phone and record yourself, no problem. You can do that during any of our visits. If you want to set up a more formal shoot where you're going to be using tripods and recorders and that kind of stuff, we do have private rentals for that purpose. We don't allow tripods or secondary recorders to be used during our public events because those other people didn't sign up for that you're investigating with. So that's not very fair to them.
Yeah, because I know Corey does a web series.
We have private rentals. We've done a multitude of YouTube, blog, I mean, you name it, all the way up to large scale feature films. So there's always a way to visit Pennhurst if you're trying to meet an objective with filming.
So what are some of the paranormal claims for people who don't know of Pennhurst?
Oh, well, Pennhurst, I mean, I can truthfully say it is an A to Z site. Every type of paranormal activity that you can think of has been not only reported at Pennhurst, but has been documented because of how many paranormal investigators have investigated Pennhurst over the years. We are one of the most heavily investigated sites in the world at this point. Thousands and thousands of investigators have spent hundreds of thousands of hours collectively on site investigating repeatedly again and again and again. I mean, we're talking about phantom noises. We're talking about shadow figures, amorphous figures. We're talking about intelligent. We're talking about residual. We're talking about, you name it. It really is. I mean, everything from poltergeist style activity to malevolent entity style activity to residual hauntings of the sound of a chain link fence jingling in the night. So and it's repetitive. Like it's when you walk around, people are like, oh, we had this experience, and you're like, okay, because I'm used to it. When as odd as it is, when people tell me that they are, oh, well, we heard we did an EVP session and we heard the sounds of a little girl upstairs. in Mayflower. And I'm like, okay, cool. Did she say what her name was? And they're like, no. I'm like, you should probably ask her name. And they're like, do you know her name? I'm like, I do, but why don't you go ask her? And then they'll come back down 5 hours later and be like, we got a name. We got a name. And I'm like, what was the name? And they're like, oh, the name was Emily. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's the same name that everyone else gets. So it is like this recurrent thing where people come and they get an experience, and that experience kind of jives with what other people are experiencing completely separate. One of the most amazing things about Pennhurst is someone will come in and they will tell me about a paranormal experience. And then 6 months later, someone completely unrelated, someone completely unknowing of the first experience at a different time, different place, different group will tell me the same thing happened to them.
Oh,
And that
wow.
has happened again and again and again. And I think that's what makes Pennhurst special is it's consistent. It's pretty darn consistent that people share experiences, and that's interesting to me, you know?
Yeah, most definitely. Do you have like some locations know some of the spirits' names? I know you mentioned like Emily. Are there like real known entities at Pennhurst that make themselves known very regularly?
Well, yeah. So there are several known. I want to say that they appear enough where it's consistent that people bring them up again and again and again and again and again. We have a very we have the reports of the little girl up on the third floor of Mayflower, and that's happened multiple times. We have a report of a nurse who moves around the Mayflower building between the second and third floors. There's been photos of her as a full body apparition,
Oh, wow.
which was pretty amazing. There is a more malevolent spirit that exists in our tunnel system and by Quaker that people have come to call Skippy. Skippy doesn't like women, and Skippy is kind of a jerk. It's one of the few spirits on site that we typically don't permit riling up the spirits or calling them out or threatening them, being hostile. Skippy is really the only one that's kind of, I'm okay if you're not nice to this one, because he's very much not nice back. We've had people walk out of the tunnels with scratches, with bite marks, with their hair pulled out. People's cameras and phones have been knocked on the floor. So Skippy's not a very nice one. But yeah, there's been multiple spirits in multiple places. And people report a lot of the same things kind of over and over again. It's interesting. It's always interesting to hear at the end of the night. One person will be like, oh, I didn't get anything, but something kept grabbing my arm. And it's like those personal experiences that I can categorize that other people, they can only take a memory. There's no proof of it. But when they tell me, I'm like, yeah, that happens all the time down there.
Yeah.
So it's
Do you experience any like elementals or anything like that at Pennhurst?
So we do experience a significant uptick in activity when it's wet or raining.
Okay.
And I'm unsure what the correlation is with that, but that is definitely a truth. When it is raining, things definitely kick up a notch.
Yeah. It's just like the spiked in energy of the atmosphere and stuff. Yeah. What was your first paranormal experience at Pennhurst when you started?
Oh, so years and years ago, when I was just a lowly actor in the haunted house, I worked in an area where there were stairs, and on a slower evening, I turned and there was a person on the stairs walking up the stairs. But for a person to be walking up the stairs, they had to walk by me, which was impossible. There's no chance anyone walked past me. And I see them walking up the stairs, and I'm like, who the heck is that? So I go and I look, and they're gone. So there's nowhere they could have went. There's nowhere they could have run to. It's a big stairway. And that was really my first experience, was like, wait, what was that? It was very much like was that somebody? It wasn't scary. I've never really had any real scary experiences, but I've had many, many experiences where I have to double take and be like, did that just happen?
Yeah, definitely. The double take, like, did I
Yeah,
just imagine that or did it really
definitely.
just happen?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, one of the most intense experiences was I was doing demo in an area, and the area was adjacent to a stairway that went down in one of the basements of the building. And I'm tearing down a wall. And when I turn and look over at the stairway, there's a young boy sitting in the landing of that stairway, staring at me working. Now I knew he wasn't a person because I could see through him. I could see the things on the
Mhm.
other side of him. And most of the time, and not most of the time, all of the time, I just ignore the stuff because I'm working. It's my job to be there. It's not, I'm not there investigating. It's not my job. It's not my goal. So I turned back and I just kept working. And I looked back about a minute later, and shockingly, and this was wild, he was still there.
Oh, wow.
So I just am like, okay. So I ignore him again and I just keep working. And I look back 2-3 minutes later. And I mean, we're talking this experience lasted about 5 minutes with him slightly shifting spaces every time
Mhm.
I would look back over. He'd be in a slightly different orientation. He wouldn't move closer or further away, but it definitely was moving. Um, and then about 5 minutes, I look back and he's gone. And I'm like, okay, he's gone. Well, that was wild. And then I'm like, all right, well, what was that? So
Yeah,
then
what was
I'm like, all right, now I'm actually going to look and see what this was. Like, what is going on here?
Mhm.
So I go over to the stairway. There's no way for anyone to have exited the room. So he didn't come past me to exit the room. So he had to go downstairs. So I go downstairs. The area downstairs completely locked up. Completely locked up. You couldn't go more than 30 feet in any direction before you hit a locked door. I'm like, okay. So it was real. It wasn't something messing up. It wasn't a light trick. It wasn't anything like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was a very intense experience because afterwards I was like, wow, this little kid, you know, he looked the part. Like he looked. There's history photos of young boys on site that had the same clothes on as this kid.
Oh,
So it
wow.
really was like just reinforced. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that would be an amazing experience. So, one of the areas at Pennhurst is called Candyland. I believe it's in Mayflower or is it in Craig?
Candyland is located in Devon. It is
Devon. Okay.
located in the basement of Devon. Yeah.
Why is it called Candyland?
So, due to the incredible levels of overpopulation, they would utilize every space they had as something at Pennhurst. And what they did with a lot of the basements was they converted them to usable space. And in Devon, especially Candyland, it was converted. There's Candyland, and then across the hallway is an even larger room called the playground. And those two spaces were indoor play areas. So
Okay.
what the staff did is they painted these very elaborate childlike murals all over the walls. And for Candyland, they chose to theme it like a candy forest with the gumdrops and the pinwheel lollipops and those sort
Mhm.
of things.
What would paranormal investigators encounter down there? Like more children-like spirits or like a
Yeah,
mix?
I've the experiences that I've had reported are somewhat mischievous, childlike spirits. A lot of times people will feel their hands getting tugged on, their pants getting tugged on, like a small hand, like a child grabbing onto you. Um, I personally had a dime thrown at me when the room was empty.
Oh,
Out
wow.
of I don't know where it came from, but I was hit with a dime. Um, it was a very unique experience. But people will describe, especially in the Candyland area, we've had a lot of people get very overwhelmed emotionally, extremely overwhelmed emotionally. In fact, during the filming of World's Longest Ghost Hunt, one of the paranormal investigators needed to be removed because they were so overwhelmed emotionally. So
Interesting.
just a wave after wave of like overwhelming empathy and sadness.
Yeah, I bet. And isn't Candyland right above where vendors will be at for the Paracon, or
It's
is it
right below. So it was right below where
right
vendors would
below?
be when we had vendors in the Devon building. Our location for vendors in Devon has changed
Okay.
to make it a better experience for the vendors. So there probably won't be any vendors over top of where Candyland was.
Okay. So now that we're talking about the Paracon, tell us a little about when it is and what people can expect when it comes to them coming to the Paracon in May.
Well, the Pennhurst Paracon it really is one of the bigger shows in the country, definitely on the East Coast. What really sets us aside as a paranormal convention is we're not in a hotel lobby, we're not in a convention hall. We're holding the convention at one of the largest, most well-known haunted locations in America, and that really kind of sweetens the pot, in my opinion. But we have an amazing multitude of guests, and we have scheduled guest interactions. We have what's called mini ghost hunts, where people get to go into an area and kind of experience the spaces. We have some open areas where people can just navigate in and out of, both for general admission as well as our VIPs have areas that are only open to them during the day. We have hundreds of vendors, just amazing vendors. We're going to have some pretty incredible food and different fun options. And then for those people who like a more built out experience, we have some of the most incredible higher end VIP experiences that you could possibly sign up for. They are incredible. So it's all round. It's going to be an incredibly fun couple of days. You're going to learn stuff. There's going to be seminars. There's just so much to do. Celebrity meet and greets, celebrity signs, and just a lot of really, really cool ways to experience that's just such a great property to experience.
Who will be in attendance at the Paracon?
Well, we've got Ghost Hunters, Ghost Brothers, Project Fear. It really is a who's who of paranormal celebrities. We also dipped into some of the horror celebrities. We have Tyler Maine coming in. We have just a lot of different, like, really just interesting people to meet, with a little bit of the spin on the horror, because we do have and host one of the best haunted attractions in the world. That's one of the cool things about Pennhurst Asylum haunted attraction. It's one of the best haunted attractions on earth. So it really is the top tier. So we like playing on the horror side of things and the spooky side of things, but then of course we take our paranormal very serious as well. So it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah. I'm looking at the website right now. Here, I can share the screen here. Let me share the screen. Let's pull it up here so people can see. Let me pull that up. So we have Adam and Amy. We have Rochelle and Brian again. Patty Negri, who is called the Good Witch. We have CJ Graham.
CJ Graham, yep.
Bob,
who is a wonderful, wonderful man, by the way. I definitely invite everybody to say hello to him. He's incredible.
Bob Elmore, Mariah Mayer, from I can't think what
Bigfoot.
show.
I think Mariah does Bigfoot.
But yeah, and then Chris Williams of GH and GHI. And of course, like you said, you have Project Fear, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Brothers. So what are the ticket options for people who are interested in coming?
Well, we have our weekend pass. I believe the weekend pass lands around $50 or $60. It's good for both Saturday and Sunday. There are no single day tickets. So you buy your weekend pass, you can come Sunday, you can come Saturday, you can come Saturday and Sunday. It's a 2-day ticket. No matter how you use it, it's the same deal. The VIP weekend pass gets you in a little bit earlier. So you have a chance to meet and greet a little bit earlier. We have some very exclusive VIP areas that are only open to the VIPs. We have some really cool extra little, VIP kind of reception areas set up, where you can go get a drink or hang out. And then, of course, the VIPs also, they're going to have, get the front seats for seminars, that kind of stuff. So VIP is very, very cool. It's all spelled out there.
Yep. And then you have the Supernatural
Yeah.
VIP.
So the Supernatural Pass that's our big giant big ticket item. That's where you get to actually you get your tickets for the thing, you get everything the VIP gets, but then you also get to sign up for either an overnight paranormal investigation with some select celebrities, or a celebrity mixer meet and greet where you get to have dinner and hobnob with a different pair of celebrities. We're also offering an additional upgrade for what we're calling our horror happy hour, which is a chance to meet with just our horror celebrities from 5 to 7. So that's
wow.
also super cool.
Yeah, that is super cool. Do you still have vendor spaces for people who are interested?
There is extremely limited vendor spaces left, and we're about to make an announcement about the final few vendor spaces that are left. We've been very, very careful to not overextend on our vendors. We want our vendors to be successful and happy. So we've been very careful about who we've been inviting to come and do it. But yeah, we totally have some vendors that'll be announced soon. And I saw someone ask about parking. Yes, parking is on site. So
if somebody just buys the weekend pass, is there a option to add on just like the paranormal investigation at night? Because I know there's an option for investigation.
I believe there is. You'd have to look at the tickets to be precise on that, but I'm pretty sure if you get the general admission ticket, I think you can still buy the overnight. I think. Yes. Yeah. Yep. You can add on the overnight investigation.
And for the overnight investigation, are you like capping it at amount of people, or
what? Oh yeah, it's limited tickets.
Yep, it's totally what can people expect for that for that investigation with some of the celebrities?
So it's going to be. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my computer here. All of a sudden, I'm not sure what's going on. So the celebrities will include Chris Williams, Brian Murray, Rachel Stratton, Pagan Green, Bob Christopher is all going to be available. And then it's going to include, this is the big deal. It's going to include buildings. Will include Mayflower, Devon, Tinicum, Philadelphia, Limerick, Rockwell Tunnels, and the Quaker Building. So brand new buildings that have never been investigated before open up at Paracon. And are only available at these investigations. These are the first investigations.
Well, that makes me wanting to go online after the show and buy those investigation tickets.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty sweet.
I'm definitely excited. So will each group of people get to experience each of those locations, or
so because of the number of investigators on site, we will probably have it where they can choose to go to different areas. And if they find themselves in an area where they feel there's a couple too many people for their particular taste, they can go to a different area.
Okay, so it's kind of like a free roam type of thing.
I'd say it's a Pennhurst free roam. It's not really a free roam because only what we have available will be available.
Yeah.
And we'll have staff and signs and everything to direct people to them. But yeah, it's a chance to check that people will be able to check out all those different areas. So
if people just come for like the weekend pass, would they be able to like go into the Mayflower or the Quaker Building and explore and do photos and stuff?
Absolutely. Yep. Okay. So just the standard pass includes some access. It includes Mayflower and the Devon buildings during expo hours. So you still have access to Mayflower, which is an incredible building to check out even during the day. So even just the general pass will get you in those spaces.
Okay. And then like as you get the higher up tickets, more availability.
Yep. The more and more stuff. I mean, it's one of those things you get what you pay for, not to say that the general admission isn't a great way to visit the site. You'd still have access to all the daytime meet and greets. You have all the daytime seminars. You have access to the site itself, which is incredible. All the entertainment, all the food. So it's really a great way to visit.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what are anything that you want to tell anyone about the upcoming Paracon that we haven't touched on? Pennhurst, like how do people book private investigations, upcoming events?
Oh, well, I guess the most important thing is check us out at pennhurstasylum.com. We have tickets for all kinds of different things. And don't forget, at Paracon, you can buy history tour during Paracon, and you can go on a history tour as an upgrade. You can do mini ghost hunts, which have a multitude of different locations for daytime kind of investigating of different areas, which is really neat. And we have a bunch of different locations for the mini ghost hunts, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, we have paranormal investigations starting next week, every Saturday almost, all the way to fall. So if you want to investigate, it's a great way to get out here and see the place.
Mm-hmm. And then do you do like private investigations during the week then?
Yeah, well, we do private investigations Sunday through Thursday.
Okay.
Any of those nights, it's a base fee for up to 10 investigators to come in. So it's a great option for teams. It's very similar in price to what we charge the individual. It's just times a whole team.
Mm-hmm. What are the hours of a private investigation?
Private investigations start at 7 and end at 3 a.m.
Okay. So that's not too bad. That's like a normal investigation.
It's 8 hours. It's a long time.
That's a long time to get through some buildings and contact the spirits. There's a Facebook page for the Paracon, I believe, right?
Yep. So we have our Pennhurst Asylum Facebook page. At Pennhurst Asylum.
Awesome. Well, I know I'm super excited to come out and check it out for the first time in May and then be a vendor and check out Pennhurst at the same time and meet you and everyone else.
Awesome. Well, we're excited for you guys to come out. I think you're going to have a fantastic time vending and just being at the place. It really is just an amazing place.
Besides the Paracon, any other big events besides the public ghost hunts happening?
Oh, we always have big events coming around. We have our huge Paracon. Obviously, that's a huge thing for us. But we may be toying around with a pretty substantially sized summer event, which was a little hush hush right now, but it'll be announced. It'll be announced before Paracon. So
people stay tuned to the Facebook page.
Something big in August. Definitely.
I'll have to keep an eye on that. Maybe I'll make a second trip out to Pennhurst.
It'll definitely be. It's going to be a really nice event. So I'm excited about it. But it'll definitely be announced by Paracon because we'll most likely offer a deal for people who come to Paracon to get some reduced price tickets.
Awesome. Do you guys have like T-shirts, sweatshirts?
Oh yeah, we have the best merch you've ever seen. So Pennhurst has a ton of really amazing merch. So.
Is it only available at Pennhurst, or
it is only available at Pennhurst? If you want to rock Pennhurst gear, you've got to get to Pennhurst. So
I gotta buy my Pennhurst gear when I'm at Pennhurst.
You got it.
So again, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it because I know you just came from a meeting, and I don't want to keep you too late.
Yep, it's not a problem at all. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope I was able to answer some questions and get people excited. Pennhurst Paracon is coming up this May. It's only 2 months away, a little over 2 months away, and next thing you know, boom, we're here. So
yeah, I know. I was like, it felt like December was last week, and now we're in March, and I'm like, before you know it, it'll be May. It'll be Pennhurst week.
It's going to be time. Yep. So May 18th and 19th. I hope to see everybody there.
Thank you again. We really appreciate you for coming online. Yeah. Have a great night.
Have a great day. Thank you guys so much. Take care.
Yep. Thank you so much. Bye. So that was Jim of Pennhurst Asylum. I'm just going to go through some quick events here. Like he said, Project Fear will be there. Taylor Maine will be there. Ghost Hunters, Ghost Brothers will be there. Amy and Adam and so many other great people will be at this event. So come out, check out Pennhurst Asylum. If you're in Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin area, check out Pottergrass Parafest 5 next weekend, Friday and Saturday in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I will be there. We'll be there with Enchanted Awakenings. I'll do art photos. We'll have crystals, tarot oracle decks, a whole bunch of goodies coming. But Barry Fitzgerald will be coming from Ireland, which is a great deal. Barry is one of my good friends of this paranormal field. Dustin will be there. Heather Taddy. You have John Tenney there. Dan Kloss of the Hinsdale House will be there. Richard Estep, and so many other great people will be there. And then on Russ's side, you have East Coast Para Expo coming up in November. Wilson Castle, 5th Annual Bash at the Castle, 10/26/24. And then Warner Paranormal Society, Preservation Society has the Paranormal Experience Weekends. Check them out. Just go to Warner Paranormal Preservation Society to check that out. Get Haunted has the Samuel Miller Mansion on 3/9/24, which I heard here is a great location, great event. They only have a few tickets available, so check that out. They also have day tickets for the first run Seekers of the Supernatural Devils on the Run tour at the Haunted Shanley Hotel on March 10th. And then I believe the 17th, I might be wrong on the date of March, they will be doing their PA Roadhouse Paranormal Night again. Check out Get Haunted to find out the date for that, which is fun because it's at a local biker bar. They'll do some ghost hunting, Q&A session, mini investigation with Rob of Get Haunted. And then if you want something that's just not paranormal, they have the Trifecta Experience Memorial Weekend. They have Ronnie Lee Blanc, Ron and Lord Doris. They'll be doing Bigfoot hunts, UFO watching, paranormal investigation, a whole bunch of workshops at the Haunted Shanley Hotel, and the price includes the nights, 2 nights of staying at the Haunted Shanley, which is amazing. And it also includes admission to the Pine Bush Museum, which I've heard is amazing out that way. And then June 1st is the second Devils on the Run tour with Get Haunted at Missouri State Penn. I will be there. Super excited. Come out, check out this historic jail prison, and get to check out some of the haunted items of the Burns Museum. And then to end with events is the Rock Island Paracon, October 5th in Rock Island, Illinois. Check out Paranormally Blonde tomorrow night for a huge announcement. I can't say. I'm super excited, though. You will want to be at this event. It is a $5 admission, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. There will be, I think Candy said, about 75 vendors, if not more. I know Get Haunted will be there. I will be there. A special guest will be there. I'm super excited about. But this event will not be the one that you want to miss if you're in the Illinois Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, Wisconsin area, or anywhere in the Midwest. You will want to check this event out. It's at a historic haunted location out in Illinois. And if you're a vendor, if you're interested in being a vendor, contact Candy Slater. She will hook you up. Tables are $50. It's great. It's an amazing event. Over 1,600 people came last year, and we're expecting a lot more this year. But next weekend, next Sunday, we have Richie B with Russ on the show. He is a Bigfoot hunter and a paranormal investigator. So they'll be talking about Bigfoot, paranormal, everything and anything. And then next Wednesday we have a special show. Wait, let me make sure that's next Wednesday. Yes, next Wednesday we have Brian Kano on a special night talking about Haunted Collector, his paranormal investigations, his experiences. So I'm super excited because I've been trying to get him on for a couple years, and we finally got a date down with him. But that is next Wednesday as well. So we will hope to see you on Sunday and Wednesday of next week. I hope you all have a great night, and we'll see you back Sunday and Wednesday. Yeah.